Thruxton, the fastest circuit of the championship, is the scene for rounds 5 and 6. Qualifying for the first race is due to start, so let's see who comes out on top. Well, it was a very tight session, but Bintcliffe finally comes away with the pole.
I will be surprised if that was even good enough for me to qualify in the top 10 the way I see it. Well, at least I can say the two Audis are starting ahead of the two Renaults. Oh, okay, I qualified 9th. It's just a matter of knowing if I can improve on that position. But since I put the sensitivity settings on low for this race, that helped me out immensely, because I was actually able to get around this circuit without spinning. And that did actually help me.
The cars are now lined up on the grid and ready to start the round. So let's get down to the track.
We are underway here at Thruxton, and I'm hopeful in saying that this time I will get spun out nowhere near as many times as I have done prior to this. But at least I can say, because the sensitivity is on low, I am less prone to spinning out. Now, unless I go in the grass, then basically I am prone to spinning out. But at least I can say I'm actually able to get around these corners. And I'm now at the very back. Which tells me this is not going to be a fun race. And the one thing that makes this even worse is about how we have to visit this one fucking track. And something tells me neither of those weekends are going to be fun. But at least I can say it's easy for me to catch up to the back of the pack, because I'm only 2 seconds back now in closing. And I think I can see Derek in the mix as well, which tells me something about how well I think this race will go. But anyways, I'm now up into 11th position, already making up 5 places from where I was after the kink, when I got spun out. And now I'm just hoping this is where everything else starts to slowly but surely fall into place. Or at least I would hope this is where everything now starts to fall into place. And now I just have to clear these 2 Volvos. And then maybe I can focus on a top 8 finish once I've cleared both of them. Still, I had a feeling this was going to be one of those circuits where Menu would end up being one of the leading contenders for the win in this race, because I'm pretty sure the Renaults are out in front, the way I see it. And braking early, trying to see if I can play it safe. I'm up into 9th position now, looking for 8th. The leading Volvo, presumably Rydell, tries to shut the door on me, but I do manage to slot myself up into 8th position. And now I'm looking for 7th. So the car feels tighter, but at least I can say I'm able to get around these corners now. And, oh, okay. Apparently one of the runners has fallen back in the field. I did not think one of the runners was going to be falling back in this race. But I don't think it's Menu. I'm going to assume it's Plato most likely, but you know, I think Plato is the one who's fallen back. It's probably not going to be Menu, because I think he's up front biting fighting for the lead with Bintcliffe, unless he's already taken the lead. But yeah, I'm actually closing in on one of the Renaults now. And I can definitely say, with the sensitivity being on low, I'm actually doing a much better job than I was doing before. Oh, and there goes one of the Audis. Oh well. At least I can say I'm up to third. So, this attempt is going a hell of a lot better than the previous attempt was going, and... oh, correction. It's one of the Hondas that's in front of me, not one of the Audis. It's one of the Hondas. Okay. So, I think I understand it now. But yeah, I mean, I put the sensitivity on low, so when I'm on track, I'm not as prone to spinning out, and oddly enough, I think on this attempt, it's actually working out, because I'm already up into third position, and we've only done 3 laps of the race thus far, and that's a wall. Even though I can still spin out in the grass, which is one thing I am... Whoa! Fucking hell! How the fuck did that happen? I was literally just rejoining the track and then suddenly, just like that, he just totally door slammed me. He just thought for sure I wasn't there. It was almost as if he never knew I was even there. As I rejoined the track. Although I will accept fault for spinning out, because, well, that was clearly my fault. But still, fucking hell, that was frightening. And I do wonder how many more wrecks it's going to take before someone decides to penalise me. Because I would have almost thought for sure with an impact of that sort I was going to be disqualified. But somehow I wasn't. I guess it must have been because I was rejoining the track or something, but yeah. So, chances of me finishing third now in this race, a lot more likely than they were about a few attempts ago when I had the sensitivity on medium. So, low sensitivity on high-speed tracks such as this one, they actually help. Because I'm spinning out nowhere near as much. But in terms of racing here at Thruxton, I hate it. Because it is practically a shit show, the way I see it. Meanwhile, I am starting to claw my way back through the field since that one unfortunate crash I had, and the Honda is not letting me walk away with this one. So, gonna have to outbrake him here as we go through the chicane and now onto this high-speed complex. Just really hoping I can bring this car home in a minimum of 4th or better, because then it will at least put me in a less precarious position when it comes to racing here. It's also because I really want to get this over with, and at least get up to the halfway point before I go away again, because I should mention this weekend I will be on vacation again after 3 weeks, and then hopefully that should be the last one I go on before I go back into the educationary side of my life. Because apparent as it might be, I'm now officially applied as being a university student. Something I've probably not told anyone until now, but I am officially going to be a university student in September, which also means I'm going to have a lot less time to uploading these videos, which is why technically which is why I really want to get this game done before the middle of September, and then once I have done, I can basically just, you know, go out and do my thing. And that Volvo is practically biting my ass. Also, low sensitivity, it does actually help, because it gives you more of a firm threshold on the track itself. And well, Thruxton, which I have found out is clearly the fastest track on the entire schedule, I can definitely say this is a track that definitely allows the AI to tailgate you, because you cannot get out of here without experiencing at least one battle with these AI. And they will fuck you up if they get a moment to do so, and they will spin you out. At least that's what I've learned from previous attempts of how I failed at this. So, I think it's fair to say there's no catching menu up to this point. But in terms of me actually coming out with 5th or better, that is a possibility. But I think it's fair to say that menu and whoever the leading Honda is, they are clearly the two fastest opponents. And Plato is now coming up on one of the Ford Mondeos, so this will give me the opportunity to pounce. I'm not going to let this one slip. Plato tries to block me from the outside. It does not work. I sell him a dummy by skirting to the inside, and now I'm up into 4th position and going round the leading Nissan of David Leslie, as I'm now back up into 3rd position, and I am 9 seconds behind the leading Honda of, I think, Gabriele Tarquini, but I don't know for sure. At least I think Tarquini is the leading Honda. Anyways, let's now get back to our POV, and hopefully I can manage to hold on to 3rd, which is what my target is. And low sensitivity for high-speed tracks such as Thruxton, possibly even Snetterton, even though it does make the car tighter, I can definitely say it makes the racing. I can definitely say it makes racing around here a hell of a lot easier than it would have been. So it is good to know the controller settings can change during a championship. Which in a way makes me relieved. And it looks as though I am now closing in on the Honda. So maybe if it's possible, I might even be able to salvage 2nd out of this, if I can keep the mistakes to a minimum. I might even manage to potentially score 2nd here. So 12.5 seconds, the gap to the leading Honda. I'm going to assume it's Gabriele Tarquini who is the leading Honda, but it could be Thompson. Either one of the two will probably do in my book. And doesn't look as though any of us are going to catch up to Alain Menu, but... oh, okay. I just set the fastest lap. I've now set a 1 minute 15.4, so that definitely goes to show how much quicker my race pace is compared to my quali pace. Although this Honda is not going to make it easy for me. He will race me hard. There's no doubt about that. And I'm now less than 8 seconds behind Menu, so if I can keep the mistakes to a minimum, I might even be in contention for a win here, but I don't want to go so far as to say I will win this race, but if I at least become a contender before the day is done, then I can definitely say, to me at least, that's an achievement. That is a fucking achievement, if I can finish second here. But I would like to remind everyone, I still hate Thruxton. Because the way these AI race around this circuit, it's dismal. I don't mind them racing hard as long as they're not, you know, always door slamming me, but at the point of when they... oh, never mind. But I think up to the point of when they do start door slamming me for no reason whatsoever, that's when it gets a bit tedious. And I am happy to say that's more or less what the case is here at Thruxton. So, I could be fighting Menu for the lead, but I'm pretty sure that will not end up being the case because, as far as I'm concerned, this will not be one of my best tracks. Yeah, so realistically the odds are I can probably fight for second, but fighting for the lead, that's a bit out of the question. At least for this first race, it's out of the question. Because I think I made too many mistakes in order for that to be the case. Not too many major ones, but I don't think it's going to be possible for me to catch up to Menu. Because I think Menu up to this point has pretty much broke out into being in a league of his own. And he's clearly leaving the rest of the pack far behind him. And I'm going to assume it's Tarquini who is behind me, because the Hondas do seem to be relatively good cars around this circuit, the way I see it. I mean, this track probably is the fastest on the entire BTCC circuit schedule by some margin. And even though I do have brief moments where I close in on Menu, I also have a feeling that even though I want to catch him, it's just a matter of knowing if I can catch him. And now overlapping my teammate Derek, who I think is running in the bottom half of the field because he's right behind one of the Ford Mondeos. I think he's running 11th, but he's probably running in 12th the way I see it. And not being able to overlap the Ford in that corner, but at least I can say there is still hope for me to walk away with damage limitation. So Menu is going to score 2 wins in a row as it currently stands, because he did win the second race at Silverstone. And even though I am having brief moments where I am closing in, there are also brief moments where he seems to be pulling away again, so I'm faster than him in certain parts of the circuit, but I'm not that much faster. And I just made contact with the leading Ford Mondeo. And now the gap is 10.4 seconds, so I don't think that's a gap I'm going to make up in these final 6 laps, but again, it's all about damage limitation and hoping at the end of the day I can manage to get the best possible position salvageable. So 9.4 seconds is now the gap, so I am steadily closing in, but if I spin out then basically I'm out of it. But still, I did not think in the closing stages I was actually going to be a race-winning contender, but I don't think I'm closing the gap up enough for this to be a race-winning run. Also, my voice is seriously dehydrated, so I'm gonna have to get some water once I'm done with this race. Even though it won't be until I've done recording the video. Anyways. So, I'm definitely closing into menus, so maybe a win is salvageable here at Thruxton, regardless of everything I've went through to get up to this point. Although, it might surprise me if I do end up winning this. Because even though I've not quite made as many mistakes as I would have done had I not changed the sensitivity settings, this is definitely not where I expected myself to be. I expected myself to be contending for a top 5, but I did not think I was actually going to be here contending for a win. That was literally not on my mind in any way, shape or form, but again, I would be just absolutely elated if I managed to score a win here. I mean, I will probably feel even more elated than from when I earned the gold in that junior school sports day I had when I got the gold in the egg and spoon race. I think I can definitely say that's one of the happiest memories I have from my childhood. Even though I probably cheated, I guess they just allowed it to stand with me because, well, I kept a hold of the egg and the spoon and I basically just, liked it right to the finish. I don't have many fond memories of my childhood, but I can assure you that's definitely one of them. I might actually be a contender in this. I'm not saying I am a contender, but I'm only going to say I might be a contender because of everything that's been happening here. Still, I did not think I was going to be seeing myself contending for a win in the closing stages. So, this might actually be interesting. Although I can definitely say Silverstone put on enough of an impressive show for the fans. But Thruxton, however, is a totally different matter. And I was side by side for a moment there with Menu. So he seems to have the upper hand at the moment, but I'm definitely in contention for a win here, which is one position I did not expect myself to be in. I'm now only 0.2 of a second behind him. He must have run over the curb, which means this does give me an opportunity to pounce, but I'm not going to do it just yet. Going to wait till we get through the chicane. Menu still holds out for the lead, and it looks as though this is going to be a pretty wild final 2 laps. Because as much as I thought for sure my best position during this race was going to be 5th, I'm actually here now contending for a win alongside Menu, which is one thing I can assure you, after all the chaos I went through on my previous attempt before I made a change to the sensitivity settings, well, with the exception of that, I'm actually very surprised to say that for a short amount of time I was actually a contender for the win. Although now that I've spun out, I am probably no longer a contender. But again, I don't think it really matters too much because I didn't really think I was going to end up winning this race anyway. So even though the sensitivity is on low, it's still possible to spin these cars out. But again, second position, that is definitely a position I can say that exceeds even my expectations. Yeah, 5-second gap. Yeah, I'm definitely not winning this race, and that only solidifies it. Although the only question I really have now is, can I hold on for 3rd? That's the main question I have. Yeah, Menu has pretty much extended his lead now, so you know, it's a shame to say the battle came to a close when it did, but it would have definitely been interesting to see who would have come out on top, although it clearly would have been Menu in the end because he has a lot more experience of this place than I do. And well, after all the trial and error I've gone through, just to, you know, basically pull myself around this one racetrack, second position is more than what I could have hoped for. So, second place in the first race at Thruxton. Let's go!
A comfortable victory in the end then for Menu, who drove a superb race. Now, the race positions.
Okay, so it was James Thompson in the leading Honda, and Jason Plato eventually ended up 4th, followed by Tarquini, Leslie, then the 2 Volvos in 7th and 8th, and what does the bottom 8 look like? And it was rounded out by the 2 Audis, and Anthony Reid finished 11th in that race, which is his best finishing position of the season. Derek eventually had to settle for 13th, between the 2 Fords, and the 2 Peugeots finishing last, with Tim Harvey being the last place finisher.
So let's see who comes out on top.
So that was race 5, and second position I did not think I was going to get, but in the end hard work pays off. So let's now move on to race number 2.